In the headlines of this hour on VTV News, State President arrives in Fukuoka during work visit to Japan. And later on, Prime Minister meets with Turkish President and discuss multifaceted cooperation. In our world news, global growth to slow down but will avoid a hard landing.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good afternoon. It is currently 3 p.m. local time and you're tuning in to 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Lê with the latest updates. Now, State President Võ Văn Thưởng arrived in Fukuoka as part of his official visit to Japan. During his visit, he met with Governor Hattori Seitaro of Fukuoka Prefecture, as well as other leaders from the Kyushu region. State President Võ Văn Thưởng expressed his joy in visiting a region that has had relations with Vietnam since the 16th century. He urged Governor Hattori and local leaders to work towards realizing the new relationship framework between Vietnam and Japan. The Vietnamese leaders also suggested promoting cooperation between the localities of both countries and encouraged Japanese businesses to increase their investments in Vietnam. They also emphasized the importance of increasing reception and training opportunities for new Vietnamese interns, as well as creating favorable conditions for the Vietnamese community of 55,000 people in the region to thrive and contribute to the development of Vietnam-Japan diplomatic ties. Prior to this, State President Võ Văn Thưởng had also met with the Vietnamese community residing and working in the 7 Kyushu prefectures. On Wednesday evening Vietnam time, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính met with Turkish President Recep Erdogan to discuss fostering deeper ties between the two countries. President Erdogan highly valued the visit of the Vietnamese Prime Minister and expressed gratitude for Vietnam's assistance after the major earthquake in February. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính congratulated Turkey on its achievements and requested an expansion of the Turkish market for Vietnamese imports. The Vietnamese leader also expressed openness to Turkish investments, particularly in areas such as hydrogen, infrastructure, and logistics. Both leaders agreed to promote cooperation between the political parties, governments, and national assemblies of their respective countries. Additionally, the Prime Minister extended an invitation from General Secretary Nguyen Phu Trong and State President Võ Văn Thưởng for the Turkish President to make an official visit to Vietnam next year. The newly approved law on water resources, consisting of 10 chapters and 86 articles, includes several new provisions compared to the 2012 law on water resources. This revision is anticipated to enhance the effectiveness of water resource management by addressing issues such as water resource security and improving the management, exploitation, and utilization of water resources.
For the first time, the revised law on water resources has introduced specific regulations to restore degraded, depleted, and polluted water sources. These regulations include provisions for ensuring financial mechanisms and promoting the socialization of water source restoration activities. The focus is on restoring rivers that are heavily polluted, such as Nhuệ and Dai rivers, the Bắc Hưng Hải Canal, and the Cầu River.
Clause 3, Article 34, clearly stipulates the list of water sources that need to be restored. This includes addressing depletion, degradation, and pollution. The primary issue is the lack of flow. The proposed solution is to construct diversion works and pumping stations to facilitate water intake.
The revised law on water resources provides more specific regulations for the management and utilization of water sources using a multi-target approach. Both hydroelectric projects and projects related to water resource will be required to strictly adhere to planning, constructions, and inter-reservoir operation procedures.
We need to evaluate which location is favorable for establishing the project, taking into consideration social security and a new environment.
It is essential to clarify the responsibilities and rights of agencies and individuals in the management and exploitation of water resources, which will ensure transparency in the management and use of water resources.
In addition to issuing circulars and instructions for implementing the remanded Water Resources Law, which will take effect in July of next year, authorities will also collaborate with localities to promote the implementations of the law in society.
The 15th Vietnam-China International Trade and Tourism Fair began on Thursday morning in Mong Cái City, Quảng Ninh Province, after a 3-year suspension due to COVID-19. The fair features 400 booths from 300 Vietnamese enterprises and 100 Chinese enterprises, showcasing a wide range of agricultural products and goods with export strengths from both countries. It serves as a platform for businesses on both sides to connect, establish trade deals, and stay updated on trade regulations for export through the Mong Cái border gate. This year's trade fair also provides opportunities to attract strategic investors and large corporations to invest in trade and tourism, thereby enhancing the circulation of goods and promoting import-export growth between Vietnam and China. The event will continue until December the 4th. China is the largest consumer market for bird's nest products globally, accounting for approximately 80% of the market share, with a demand of about 300 to 400 tons per year. To meet this demand, China imports significant quantities of bird's nests from countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam. Consequently, various solutions are currently being implemented to accelerate billion-dollar exports from the Vietnamese bird's nest industry starting next year.
Khánh Hòa Province has recently inaugurated a new bird nest processing factory, which was established with an investment of $2.8 million to seize export opportunities in 2024. The factory specializes in producing high-value products such as bird nest juice, pure bird nest, and refined bird nest. Phase 2, with an investment of $6.1 million, will focus on expanding the processing capacity and enhancing the value of raw materials sourced from 300 bird nest houses.
We believe that the Ministry of Agriculture should establish a policy to manage and protect natural swiftlets. Currently, swiftlets are being hunted in many areas. By protecting the environment in sea and island areas, we can also contribute to the sustainable development of natural bird nests.
We believe that the Ministry of Agriculture should establish a policy to manage and protect natural swiftlets. Currently, swiftlets are being hunted in many areas, despite being species that rely on natural food sources. By protecting the environment in sea and island areas, we can also contribute to the sustainable development of natural bird nests.
Khánh Hòa Province, located in Asia, is known for processing the largest number of bird nests on the island. Out of a total 24,000 bird nest houses in the country, Khánh Hòa Province has 1,000. This number is expected to increase in the near future. However, it is also important for localities to have a standardized mechanisms in place.
In the near future, it will be necessary to not only focus on export businesses but also provide technical training for farmers. This training should cover traceability of origin, food safety, and adherence to safety standards to meet the high criteria of the markets. It is crucial to establish an ecosystem that includes businesses, cooperatives, and individuals associated with a closed chain.
Vietnam has strong potential to develop bird nest industry, with 42 out of 63 provinces and cities having bird nests and favorable natural conditions. In line with the livestock law, the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development is planning to establish the best and most productive bird nest houses in Vietnam for export purposes.
According to the Ministry of Planning and Investment, Vietnam recorded over 14,000 newly registered businesses in November, marking a 19.5% increase compared to the same period last year. The majority of these new businesses are in the service sector, followed by the industry and construction sector and the agriculture, forestry, and fisheries sector. Additionally, there has been a 4.7% increase in the number of returning businesses compared to the same period last year. This indicates a positive response from the business sector to the economic recovery efforts of the past months, as well as a favorable outlook for the coming year. The $1.75 billion policy credit package aimed at providing a 2% annual interest rate subsidy from the state budget has seen limited success, with only about 2.3% disbursed. Businesses either do not meet the borrowing criteria or, if eligible, choose not to borrow. As a result, there is a need to review and modify the implementation strategy of this support program.
Identifying businesses with recovery potential for loan eligibility is difficult. Some companies, even if capable of repaying debts, struggle to confirm recovery potential, particularly amid global economic downturn and a sharp decline in orders over the past year.
Some businesses have faced 2 tough years of COVID challenges. Now, they not only need to prove they have no bad debts but also show their ability to recover. This is really hard for them.
The challenge of identifying eligible recipients has hindered banks from disbursing funds, causing a delay in the much-needed support package. Additionally, the economic and social landscape has changed since the policy was introduced.
Interest rate fluctuations lately have affected the policy. High rates make support less meaningful, and with rates now very low, it's considered unnecessary, not to mention the complex procedures involved.
Many recommend promptly redirecting resources from this support package to better suit the identified reasons. This would allow for a quick and more targeted deployment that aligns with businesses' immediate needs.
We can use the package to address tax and land lease fee exemptions in 2024.
We should consider establishing a unified government-managed guarantee fund for small and medium-sized businesses by merging the 26 local funds in the country.
The State Bank has informed relevant agencies about the program's implementation results. This will help formulate proposals to adjust the unutilized interest rate support to other support policies with potential implementation and remaining capacity.
Before we move on, let's have a look at the exchange rate between the Vietnam dong and some world currencies in today's market. Coming up next on VTV News. Job market boosted at year-end due to increasing orders and demands for production. And later on, Vietnamese cuisine and culture promoted in China. Moving on to other important updates, according to the Ministry of Labor, Invalids and Social Affairs, the domestic labor market in Vietnam continues to show positive signs. The number of employed people keeps growing, reaching nearly 52 million people at the beginning of the fourth quarter. This represents an increase of 87,000 people compared to the second quarter. Workers' income has also increased to about 6 to 8 million Vietnam dong. The sectors have seen an increase in employment are retail, transportation, auto repair, processing industry, and manufacturing. On the other hand, the construction, healthcare, and real estate sectors have reported a decrease in the labor force. The year-end is often a buoyant time for the labor market as businesses ramp up their recruitment. This is due to businesses signing many orders and expanding their production. More details on the Mekong Delta region in the following.
This is a batch of dragon fruit intended for export to Japan. The business is planning to hire more workers in order to increase production speed and ensure timely delivery of new orders.
We are constructing a new factory and require an additional 200 to 300 workers to fulfill the labor requirements for the facility in 2024.
The positive sign in the labor market is also a result of the efforts made by localities to understand recruitment needs and introduce job opportunities to the local population. This facilitates the quick connection between businesses and suitable workers.
Business recruitment information is available on many websites and is made public in processing zones to introduce job opportunities to workers.
We update our recruitment needs on a weekly basis and post them on the province's web portal and digital application.
Currently, there are 1 million unemployed individuals nationwide. The expansion of production by businesses and the support from localities for job connections are playing a significant role in reducing the region's unemployment rate.
A landslide occurred on the banks of the Red River in the Lâm district of Phuc province 1 week ago. This event has had a serious impact on many households along the entire 1-kilometer stretch of the affected area. In response to the situation, the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development has reported to the People's Committee of Phuc Province and proposed that the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development authorize immediate emergency measures to address the landslide.
Almost a week ago, cracks started to appear in Van's yard. However, just 2 days later, the wall of the house suddenly cracked. The house foundations in this area have significantly subsided. Local authorities had to quickly mobilize resources to relocate people and property to safe location.
While I was sleeping, I heard cracking sounds on the wall. It felt like an earthquake. When I walked outside, I noticed that part of the house had already subsided.
The Phuc Department of Agriculture and Rural Development determined that the cause of the landslide was the low water level of the Theo River. On the right bank of the Theo River, there is a large alluvial area that alters the flow. To prevent danger, signs probably hitting the passage of people, livestock and vehicles have been posted. On-site personnel are deployed to monitor the development of landslides and ensure the safety of people and property.
We have surveyed the entire landslide area, developed a technical plan and submitted a report to the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development requesting emergency treatment.
Since the beginning of 2023, the Red River, specifically the section flowing through Phuc province, has experienced over 30 kilometers of riverbank erosion. Although many severe landslides have been promptly prepared, it has required substantial funding. In the long term, it is crucial to replan residential areas located in landslide-prone areas, considering the growing impact of climate change.
The Hanoi Culture and Food Festival 2023 is scheduled to take place on December the 1st at Thống Nhất Park. Spanning 3 days, the festival aims to facilitate cultural and culinary exchange and collaboration between Hanoi and international participants. The event will feature 80 booths showcasing Hanoian foods and international cuisines. The purpose of the Hanoi Culture and Food Festival is to celebrate, preserve and promote the traditional cultural and culinary values of Hanoi. That is especially significant as the city has been internationally recognized as one of the top 20 culinary destinations in the world, according to a survey conducted by TripAdvisor this year. Vietnamese culture and cuisine are gaining popularity among Chinese people. Large-scale culinary and cultural promotion activities have played a significant role in introducing Vietnamese culture. Additionally, exchange activities between the two countries in culture and tourism have also contributed to this trend. The increase in economic trade, international student exchanges, and post-pandemic tourism activities are important factors in further promoting Vietnamese cuisine in China.
Vietnam is a highly sought-after destination for Chinese travelers, as many Chinese people are intrigued by Vietnam culture. They are increasingly familiar with distinctive cultural aspects of Vietnam, such as Alai, traditional Vietnamese clothing, handicrafts, coffee, and regional specialties. Vietnamese cuisine and culture effortlessly capture the hearts of Chinese people, thanks to shared similarities between these two Asian countries.
There are many Vietnamese food restaurants in the central business district commercial area. Many new restaurants are opening and becoming crowded.
Vietnamese specialties like pho, spring rolls, and bún chả are often introduced to locals as culinary cultural events. In response to the growing interest of Chinese people in Vietnamese dishes, this resort organized a Vietnamese Cuisine Day. The success of this event has motivated the resort to continue organizing events that showcase Vietnamese cuisine and culture. Furthermore, there has been a rise in the number of newly opened Vietnamese restaurant chains and coffee brands in Beijing and other major cities.
Chinese people are getting to know more about Vietnamese culture through increased travel. Many mobile apps also help introduce Vietnamese culture and cuisine to the Chinese people.
Chinese people are becoming increasingly interested in Vietnamese culture as they are introduced to and taught how to make Vietnamese dish. With Vietnamese ingredients and spices being sold on many Chinese e-commerce platforms, it is now easier for Chinese people to cook Vietnamese dishes at home.
The áo dài is a cultural symbol of Vietnamese women. This traditional dress has continuously evolved while still maintaining its timeless essence. And wherever Vietnamese people are, they always know how to preserve, promote, and spread the values of the áo dài.
Kiều Nhi joins the Kids Áo dài Modeling Club every Saturday at the Children's Cultural House of Đắk Lắk. Children aged 4 to 15 not only enhance their performance skills, but also learn about the cultural significance of the traditional Vietnamese dress.
The áo dài preserves the cultural essence of the nation. I feel like I'm radiant whenever I wear it.
Đắk Lắk is the third province following Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City to launch the Vietnamese Áo dài Heritage Club. The club's goal is to preserve and promote the áo dài as a cultural icon, not only within Vietnam but also appreciated internationally.
Using special materials, particularly brocade, my goal is to make the áo dài known and appreciated in many countries.
Vietnamese communities in Europe hold various contests annually to celebrate the áo dài. These competitions foster unity among Vietnamese expatriates and inspire the younger generation to cherish and understand their cultural traditions.
Such contests remind the second and third generations to appreciate their Vietnamese heritage. They then keep on preserving the cultural identity and values of the Vietnamese community abroad.
The áo dài carries the deep history, cultural traditions, aesthetic beliefs, and the spirit of Vietnam. Time flies, things change, but it would remain an eternal symbol of pride of the Vietnamese people.
Coming up next in our world news. Global growth to slow down but will avoid a hard landing, according to OECD. And later on, oil prices surge on expectations of deeper OPEC Plus cuts. Moving on to our world news, the global economy is expected to experience a slight slowdown next year, according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD. Despite high levels of debt and uncertainty over interest rates, the risk of a hard landing has diminished. The OECD predicts that global growth will ease to 2.7% in 2024, down from 2.9% this year, before increasing to 3% in 2025. This forecast is based on the recovery of real income growth and lower interest rates. While the global economy continues to face the challenges of low growth and elevated inflation, there will be a mild slowdown next year, primarily due to the tightening of monetary policy in the past 2 years. However, the OECD warns that the Israel-Hamas conflict and the conflict in Ukraine could have an impact on commodity prices, such as oil or grain. World oil prices experienced a significant increase during Wednesday's trading session. This was driven by concerns that the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allied countries, or OPEC Plus, would continue to reduce oil production. At the close of Wednesday's trading session, the price of North Sea Brent oil rose by $1.42 per barrel, reaching $83.10 per barrel. Similarly, the price of U.S. sweet crude oil increased by $1.45 per barrel, reaching $77.86 per barrel. According to Reuters, discussions leading up to the OPEC Plus meeting focused on potential additional production cuts, although specific details had not been agreed upon yet. However, it is anticipated that the cuts could potentially reach up to 1 million barrels per day. On Tuesday, a jet powered by 100% sustainable aviation fuel successfully completed a flight from London to New York. This achievement highlights the potential of low-carbon options, which currently make up only a small portion of the aviation industry's fuel mix. More details in the following.
The flight, operated by a Virgin Boeing 787 with Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 engines, marks the first time a commercial airliner has flown long-haul using 100% sustainable aviation fuel. The flight did not have any paying passengers or cargo. The founder of Virgin Atlantic and British Transport Secretary were on the flight. The return trip to London will use conventional jet fuel.
Up until about a year ago, it was thought impossible for a long-haul plane going from as far as, say, London to New York to fly on sustainable aviation fuel. And we wanted to prove them wrong. And the team at Virgin Atlantic have worked with Rolls-Royce and other people to produce a fuel that can go well, at least as far as London to New York, but we believe as far as London to Los Angeles and London to Tokyo in the years to come.
Airlines are relying on fuel derived from waste to decrease their emissions by up to 70%. Currently, sustainable aviation fuel represents less than 0.1% of the total global jet fuel consumption and is priced 3 to 5 times higher than conventional jet fuel.
More needs to happen all over the world for this nascent industry to take off, and I think what we've proven is that it's safe to do so. It's really not an operational matter, it's now a production matter. If you make it, we'll fly it.
As the world decarbonizes, airlines are banking on fuel made from waste to reduce their emissions by up to 70%, enabling them to keep operating before electric and hydrogen-powered air travel becomes a reality in the decades to come.
And now let's have a look at the weather forecast. And that is all that we have for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can visit our YouTube channel or download a mobile app VTVgo for more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.